One evening, after a regular day, I had sent Amanda a few messages earlier and later a call or two, but I never heard back. By the time I saw her later that night, I asked her, as calmly as I could, "Why didn't you get back to me today?" "I've been texting and calling." She looked at me like I was overreacting. Then, with this cold tone that felt like a slap in the face, she said, "Is it my job to make sure I answer you every day?" I struggled to process what she had just said. She didn't stop there either. She said she was too busy. I didn't even know how to respond at that point. But before I could say anything, she said, "Maybe we need a break." It felt like she'd been waiting for the right argument to throw that out and see how I'd react. I didn't argue. This time, I nodded. Because the truth is, I was tired of the constant walking on eggshells. Tired of giving and getting almost nothing back. So, I agreed. I figured that the break would help us cool down, reset, and come back stronger. Some space might give both of us the perspective we needed. But what I didn't realize was this wasn't a pause. It was the beginning of the end. To keep myself from going down a dark mental hole, I tried to stay busy. One night while scrolling through my phone in silence, I opened up ChatGPT and asked for solo activities. I wasn't expecting much, but surprisingly, it gave me some good suggestions. I picked and followed some of them, and that kept me busy on days I didn't go to work. One Friday evening, I thought about checking in on my cousin. He had moved away a few months back after landing a job in a new city. We hadn't hung out in a while, and honestly, I just needed a familiar face. I got in touch with him and informed him I was coming to see him the next day. He confirmed he will be free. The moment I walked through the door, the next day, my cousin didn't even bother with small talk. His first words were, "I hope you're not still with that girl." I blinked. "Amanda? Why?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked at me like he wasn't sure if I could handle what he was about to say, but then went in. Apparently, there was a video, one that had been circulating around Amanda's friend group. In it, she was at a party, drunk, completely unrestrained, and all over her ex. He pulled out his phone and showed me. In the video, she wasn't just tipsy or casually friendly. She was wild, hugging, kissing, clinging like no one else in the room existed but him. Her ex is the same guy she had always said was toxic and not worth her peace. Yet there she was, wrapped around him like nothing had changed. My cousin told me, very plainly, that he thought I had already broken up with her. That's why he felt okay sharing all this. He said Amanda had always had this unhealthy back-and-forth thing going with her ex. She would enter new relationships, mess them up on her own, and then run back to the chaos she knew. That was the exact pattern, over and over. And the worst part? I was just the latest good guy caught in that cycle. That's when it made sense. All the fights and the sudden shift when I started talking about marriage. She was confused and torn. When she asked for a break, what she really wanted was permission to go back and explore that old door without technically cheating. I didn't even argue. It was in that moment that I stopped making excuses for her behavior. All the dots connected. The emotional detachment, the mood swings, the weird defensiveness. She was never really all in. I had been trying to domesticate a wild animal, trying to settle someone who didn't want to be still, who thrived on instability, and who would always chase the familiar chaos of her past. But not anymore. Not after that video. Not after the truth stared me in the face. That was the moment I knew I was done. After everything I'd learned about Amanda, I picked up my phone and blocked her everywhere. I went down the list. Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, all blocked. I didn't want to give her any space to wiggle back into my life. Then I scrolled to her contact and deleted her number. After that, I spent the rest of the day with my cousin. He could sense I needed the distraction, so he drove me around the city. We grabbed food, stopped by a local park, and even visited a random arcade. I didn't realize how long it had been since I felt that light. The next day, as I drove back to my place, I remembered something. There was a job offer for my company to move to Seattle. I'd gotten the offer about a month earlier. It came with a nice pay bump, better benefits, and the chance to lead a new team. But back then, Amanda said she wasn't ready to move far. And like a fool in love, I let her hesitation override what was best for me. I kept the offer sitting in my inbox. But now, she was out of the picture. No more considering what Amanda wanted. The job wasn't just a career move anymore, it felt like a lifeline. A fresh start in a new city. When I got home that night, I sat down at my laptop and typed my response. I told them I was ready. I was accepting the transfer. Then I hit send. By Monday morning, I walked into work with a different kind of energy. HR handed me the relocation steps and paperwork before I even had a chance to grab coffee. It was almost eerie how quickly things started falling into place, like life had just been waiting for me to let go of her so it could start moving again. Later that week, I called my family. I told them about the move and asked them to help me sell off the things I wouldn't be taking with me: furniture, appliances, anything that didn't fit into a fresh chapter. They understood. I think they were relieved, honestly. They'd seen what the relationship had done to me, even when I tried to pretend everything was fine. By the time I had settled in my new apartment, I realized that I was 3,000 miles away from everything that reminded me of her. I didn't tell a soul except for my immediate family and a couple of close friends I trusted. I didn't leave a note. I just vanished from her world the same way she emotionally disappeared from mine the moment she chose her ex over the life we were building. Hi everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. My name is Robert. The moment my fiancée asked for a break, that flipped everything upside down. When I found out why she really wanted that break, I gave her the break she wanted, and then some by disappearing. Here's how everything happened. I met Amanda several years ago, long before anything romantic ever started between us. It was actually my cousin who introduced us. Back then, she was just someone I saw occasionally. We were always friendly, shared laughs, and made small talk. But we never crossed into anything serious until about a year and a half ago, when things finally lined up and we started dating officially. To be honest, once we got together, I fell fast and hard. I had this vision of us in my head. I could already see us married, maybe with kids someday. So, naturally, I shared this with my cousin, the same one who introduced us. And I'll never forget how that conversation went. He didn't outright say anything cruel or confrontational. No bold statements like she's bad for you or you're making a mistake. Instead, it was more of a subtle nudge. He gave me this look and said something like, "I don't know, man. She just doesn't seem like the kind of girl that fits the life you're trying to build." That was it. At the time, I took it personally. I mean, here I was thinking I found someone special, and my own cousin was planting doubts. I brushed it off and chalked it up to jealousy or maybe some misplaced judgment. In my mind, he just didn't get it. I told myself, he doesn't see what I see in her. So after that conversation, I basically cut him out of that part of my life. I stopped bringing Amanda up around him, stopped giving him updates about us. And when I eventually proposed, I didn't even tell him. Looking back now, I can admit he wasn't trying to sabotage me. He was trying to protect me in his own awkward, quiet way. But I was too far gone, too in love, too invested in the idea of who I wanted Amanda to be instead of who she really was. That early warning, I ignored it, and I paid the price later. On the day I proposed to Amanda, I got down on one knee and pulled out the ring. I felt her hesitation. She froze for a second longer than what felt normal, and in that moment, I knew she hadn't seen it coming, and I could tell she was trying to process it all. At first, she didn't give me an answer. I could feel her pulling back emotionally. Then she said yes. She accepted the ring and gave me a hug that felt more reassuring than affectionate. I convinced myself that some people need more time to adjust to the idea of forever. When Amanda said yes to my proposal, I remember feeling we were finally on the same page. But I was wrong. That acceptance didn't bring peace. It opened the door to a new chapter filled with tension and cracks I hadn't seen coming. Arguments that used to be rare and short-lived started happening more frequently. Suddenly, it felt like we were always on edge, walking on eggshells around each other. What used to be minor would blow up into full-blown arguments. It felt like every little miscommunication turned into a dramatic event. And what hurt more was that it felt one-sided. I wasn't looking for fights. I just wanted peace. But somehow, everything I said seemed to push us further apart. I didn't want to give up, so I suggested we try therapy. She wasn't having it at first. She said therapy was for people with real problems. But I pushed gently, explained it was about figuring things out before we got to that point. After a few more rough weeks and more silence than conversation, she finally said she'd try it. We started attending therapy together. And for the first time in a long while, I felt like maybe we were actually getting somewhere. In one session, Amanda broke down. She talked about things I'd never heard before. Childhood stuff. Things she had buried and never told anyone. It was hard to hear, but it explained so much. Her defensiveness. The way she'd shut down when things got too close, too real. That session changed me. I stopped seeing her as just my fiancée who was acting out, and started seeing someone still carrying scars that no one ever helped her heal. I became more patient. I listened more. I worked harder to create a safe space for her, not just physically, but emotionally. I wasn't just doing the bare minimum. I tried everything I could think of. I started planning little getaways, just the two of us. Weekend trips. Simple, intentional time together where we could laugh again, talk without tension. I arranged date nights, sometimes cooking at home with candles, just to make it special. For a while, it looked like it was working. But then I made the mistake of bringing up wedding planning. The moment I said something about dates or venues or even a guest list, it was like flipping a switch. The same old behavior came flooding back. Irritation, snapping over small things, shutting down, or picking fights. It felt like everything we'd built up was slipping right through my hands. I was blindsided. We'd done the work, hadn't we? We had gotten through therapy. We had started to reconnect. But the moment commitment became real again, so did the chaos. I can't lie, I was confused, tired, emotionally drained. I didn't understand why the idea of spending our lives together brought her so much resistance. I tried to love her through the mess, but it always felt like just when we got close to stability, she'd sabotage it. And I started asking myself quietly, how long can I keep doing this? How much more am I supposed to give before I accept the truth? For a few weeks, it was peaceful, even with all the adjustments. Then, the call started. It began with one random number, then another, and another, back-to-back days. Always the same pattern. Silence followed by the buzz of a call from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't pick up. I had no interest in playing detective to figure out who was behind the screen. I already had a gut feeling who it was. Then I received a text message that confirmed my guess. Just one line, "Why did you block me everywhere?" There was only one person whose question could have come from. Amanda. For a brief moment, I actually considered replying, but I ended up blocking that number too. What followed was a string of pathetic attempts to get under my skin. Messages dripping in guilt and manipulation. Things like, "I was just confused," or "You're really going to throw everything away?" One even said, "I didn't think you'd be this cold." Every time she texted, I didn't even read past the first line before blocking the new number. It was like swatting flies. She'd try again from another burner phone or texting app, and I'd shut it down just as quickly. I didn't respond once. Not out of spite, but out of principle. Weeks went by, and the text slowed. Eventually, they stopped altogether. So, sometime later, a month or two, my phone rang. It was one of our mutual friends. This guy had no clue I had even moved. He was just calling to catch up. We talked about work, life, and random stuff. Then, just casually, as if he were asking me if I'd watched a new movie or heard a song, he said, "Oh, by the way, Amanda's been asking around about you." I took a breath, and I said to him, "We ended things already." There was no need to explain the whole saga. I didn't owe anyone an essay. What needed to be said had already been lived. Looking back now, everything fits. Every argument started over nothing. Every time she shut me out. Every warning my cousin tried to give me, even though he never came right out and said it plainly. The way she hesitated to accept the ring. The way she reacted whenever marriage was mentioned. It all had a root. And that root wasn't just fear, it was divided loyalty. She wanted to hold onto me while still keeping the door open to something behind her. something that should have been left in the past. But instead of waiting for a formal ending or some grand apology that would probably never come, I gave myself closure. Now, if there's one thing I've learned through all of this, it's that love should never feel like a battlefield. Relationships will have ups and downs, sure, but if your peace is constantly being disturbed, if you're walking on eggshells more than you're smiling, that's not love. That's a warning. So, I want to leave you with some hard-learned lessons. 1. When people show you confusion, believe it. When someone claims to love you, but also needs a break to figure out what they want, it usually means they already know what they want, and it's not you. 2. Trust your gut, but don't ignore your circle. My cousin didn't say much, but he said enough. I chose not to hear it at the time. Sometimes the people who love you the most won't be loud about their warnings, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. 3. Closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you create. Don't chase apologies. Don't beg for explanations. Sometimes the best response is silence and distance. Sometimes peace is found when you stop trying to fix what someone keeps breaking. Thanks for sticking around to hear my story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in my situation? Don't forget to like and share this story. Someone out there might really need to hear it today.